Good afternoon, people, brothers and sisters. Hope everybody's enjoying their day, living life, loving life. Um, as you can see by the title of the video here, we're going to talk today about the Social Security key and, of course, the birth certificate and stuff. And basically what we want to do here today is explain the presumed joinder that the state has with each and every man. And this starts out with what's known as a hospital statement of live birth. This hospital statement of live birth, when you're first born, is the statement that has your mother listed as an informant. And what they do is they take that statement of live birth to the county registrar, who certifies it. Okay, this statement is merely just a statement. Okay, and it is a fraudulent statement. And actually, I guess I shouldn't call it a fraudulent statement. It's just merely a statement with certain words on there that are used to, in a way, mislead you. But it's at the same time, what they do is they enter that into the county registrar, like I said, who certifies it. And that is fraud itself. They have taken a instrument or a document, a statement, and converted it to a financial instrument. When you get a certificate, it is a financial instrument. It is a title to some kind of, whether it be monetary funds or lawful money, doesn't matter, lawful coin, I should say. Now that county registrar who certifies that statement of live birth then deposits that certificate into a general account. And when we talk about account, we're talking about money. And in this case, it's Federal Reserve notes. Okay. Now that certificate is then again certified for the Secretary of State, for the Bureau of Vital Statistics, to create a certificate of live birth. Now that certificate of live birth, and it's also used as, it's also sent on to the U.S. Department of State as the birth certificate. So there's two different documents there that derive from the hospital statement of live birth. Your birth certificate for the United States Department of State, which is known as a matter of national concern, and then or national importance. And then, of course, the certificate of live birth is the one that everybody gets authenticated. And when you authenticate that, it has the various dates on it according to whenever they certificated it. And then you're told that you have to have a Social Security account in order to be employed. Okay? Employed is a government term. It's not a word, it's a government term. Okay? And this is why it's so important that people need to understand languages. And in this particular case, it's the written language. And the written language that you should be concerned about is just plain common English in block lettering. Okay? The documents and instruments that they use against us use several different forms of foreign languages. Okay? But today we're just going to concentrate on the Social Security account and how it ties in with the problems that we're facing today with joinder, when they say they have personal jurisdiction. So understand that the certificate of live birth and the birth certificate, like I said, they're two different documents. The birth certificate is the United States citizen, which is a corporate artificial person. And then the certificate of live birth is the state citizen, also known as another corporate artificial person. Okay? And when they say that you need a Social Security account in order to be employed, that is false. Understand that Social Security is a voluntary program. This voluntary program that you enter into by contract stipulates or classifies, non-disclosed, however, that you are a voluntary Medicare qualified government employee. Okay? So understand, again, the Social Security contract is voluntary. You can rescind simply by stating that upon learning that they classified you as a Medicare qualified government employee, which means that you are now taxable. And understand the word you. You is a plural term. You means two or more. Thou is the origin of the singular form of one. Okay? Now, when they classify you as this and they put you in as a Medicare qualified government employee and you are then taxable, it is the person that is taxable. And that is what the offset program is about. Okay? Now, if you don't want to have to worry about taxes, Social Security, child support, rescind from the Social Security Administration's program. They are the top authority that is classifying yourself as a Medicare qualified government employee. It's my firm opinion that you do this one thing alone and it rebuts every presumption out there. Now, they might want to try to bring in the birth certificate, but either way, that's still a contract. They took a statement and converted it into a financial instrument, undisclosed. So therefore, it's a void contract. But even if they try to assert, you can ensure them that because it's a financial instrument, there has to be a contract involved. Period. And if it doesn't have your signature, knowingly, willingly, and intentionally, they cannot hold it against yourself. And it does not have your signature on it. It has the governor's signature and the state registrar. It doesn't even have your mom's signature on it. Your mom signed the hospital statement of live birth, unknowing, unwittingly, and unintentional that they were going to turn it into a financial instrument. So, now to connect a couple other things, understand, every hospital, every public hospital is a government institution. And as we have today, the government institution is under martial law. It's a military institution. But even then, if you look at your military branches, look them up on Dun and Bradstreet, you will find they are all incorporated. They're all corporations. So when you go to a hospital and you give birth, your baby is born at the hospital, and you yourself have a Social Security number, you are considered a ward of the state, and your child is born on a hospital ward. Again, it's a military term, not a common English word. It is a military term. Okay? And a couple things I want you people to start researching is word mark and letter mark. And then think about the word trademark. Trademark is for you, for yourself. Word marks and letter marks are the different languages they use to construct their documents and instruments. They use, like I've been trying to explain to people, the all caps name. It is not a word, and it is not your calling, but rather, and you can ask any English major, anything in all caps is a title. It's a title. Okay? And what they do, and what they've done, is they've used symbols. They've used artwork to create symbols that look like capital letters of the English language strung together to form titles that look like words. Okay? And this is all information that you can point out to them in eventual controversies that are being brought before the courts. When you get pulled over for a traffic violation and they write your name down, they're using the capital letter at the beginning of your calling without a hyphen, and then a capital letter for your last name or family name. Okay? Correct grammar for my calling is lowercase k, lowercase e, lowercase I, lowercase t, lowercase h, hyphen, lowercase o, lowercase r, lowercase l, lowercase a, lowercase n, lowercase d. Period. The first one, Keith, is my calling of my spirit. The second one, the attachment with the hyphen, Orland, is the calling of my body. So when I was younger, my mom and dad would get frustrated with me because I didn't answer them or something. Instead of just calling Keith, which was calling my spirit, they called Keith Orland, and that was calling both my spirit and my body. If they truly wanted to show that they had full authority, they would call me Keith Orland Little, and that's a calling. Anything else written down with capital letters in your calling is fictitious. When they attach the family name, that is fiction. Yourself is just the calling. When they attach the family name, they're attaching a family. They're attaching you, yourself, your mom, your dad, your siblings, brothers and sisters, any cousins with the same last name, any grandparents, aunts, uncles, great aunts, uncles, great grandparents. They're listing the entire family with that one. Okay? So understand this stuff, people. If you learn this stuff, you can rebut anything they throw at you. Because everything they throw at you is fictional languages, mixed languages. Okay? And when it comes back to that word you, like I said, you is a plural term, and they're using your person and yourself as the plural. They're saying that that person is attached to you, to yourself, and it's not. You've never signed it until you signed that Social Security Administration contract, which was voluntary, but was not disclosing the fact that you will be taxed because of that, because they classified you as a Medicare qualified government employee. Very simple. If you can recognize this one thing alone, you can break everything down. Period. You have to be able to understand that the hospital statement of live birth was merely a statement. That the doctor or the administration of a hospital, whoever they do, takes care of all those statements, took it to the county registrar, who then certified that it was an actual document that was valid and true because the doctor signed it and your mom signed it. So they had two witnesses. So then they took it to the county registrar and said, okay, yeah, that's a correct statement. But certifying it and then depositing it into a general account and then certifying that certificate, creating the certificate of live birth, and then depositing that into another general account, as well as creating the birth certificate and again depositing that into another general account. You now have 3 accounts. You have the county, which is the county of origin, you have the state, and you have the United States. And they're all 3 claiming that yourself is attached to a person. Unknowingly, unwittingly, and unintentionally, without you signing a damn thing, long before you even became age of majority. So, understand, when you do that, moms, when you do that, when you sign that hospital statement of live birth, and they certify that, and then you go sign up at Social Security Administration for an account for your newborn baby, find out, call up. I want everybody, and understand the importance of this. Please call up. I want you to flood the Social Security Administration with calls asking them if they, specific words, I want you to write this down, and I'll say it real slow. It has come to my attention that the Social Security Administration, through my signature, has classified my baby, my son, my daughter, my sons and daughters, my sons or my daughters, whatever the case may be, have classified them as voluntary Medicare qualified government employees who are then subject to taxation if this is so. I am advising you now, or I am noticing you now, that I am rescinding from all contracts with and enjoined, including any and all quasi-contracts with the Social Security Administration, the U.S. Department of State, and the county registrar of such and such county where that offspring was born, where your heirs and heiresses were born, as well as my own. Understand this, people. Just call them up and ask them real quick. I'd like to know, do you have such and such person classified as a Medicare qualified government employee? And understand, these people are under contract. It's a private corporation, private organization, and they have to disclose everything in contracts. Otherwise, it's fraud. So if they tell you they can't, if they try to get away from it and try to tell you they can't tell you that, that's bullshit. Then we just file a Freedom of Information document requiring them to bring forth the information. Okay? So understand, the Social Security Administration is a private organization. And when you signed up for a Social Security account for your offspring, your heirs and heiresses, you voluntarily signed them up for a voluntary program that classifies them as a Medicare qualified government employee who is then taxable. Okay? And that's, again, why they have the offset program. But again, also realize the person is not the man. Okay? They can't create joinder. That's a maxim of law. Similar is with similar. Water and oil do not mix. Corporations can only contract with corporations. So thereby, as a mom or dad, rescinding your signature from any and all contracts, whether singular or quasi in nature, from the county registrar, the Secretary of State, or the state, and the U.S. Department of State. In my opinion, that should cut all contracts, period. Including driver's license. It's a state corporation, and they ask for your social security number, and they put your name on the license the same as the social security account, all caps. So your social security account is going to be all caps, and that's the certificate of live birth. Your birth certificate is going to have each letter of each word or term of that corporation starting with a capital letter. And that's a name, not a calling. It's a name. The birth certificate under the United States Department of State is a name. The certificate of live birth under the Secretary of State is a title. And it was all done because your mom signed a statement that was grammatically incorrectly written down with capital letters of your baby's calling. So I strongly advise everybody start Common English in correct parse, syntax, grammar. Correct the language, and you correct the fraud. Stay away from all the foreign languages that you do not understand, and they can't force you to understand them. They can't force you to educate yourself to learn legalese and things that are deceiving. Period. It's like when you go to school and you learn that 2 + 2 is 4. They can't turn around later in life and say, well, 2 + 2 is 6. It's impossible. It's already been proven. In the beginning was word, okay? And then when you write it down, it gets misconveyed unless you know what you're doing. That's why when I put anything down on a document in regards to my calling, it's not a signature. It's either an autograph or a mark. And then I use a red ink thumbprint attached to the last letter of my first calling only. I don't even use the hyphen with the Orland. Just Keith in all lowercase letters with red ink thumbprint attached to the last letter. Okay? Understand this stuff, people. When we start, child support, I've got a few people that are wanting to get out of the child support. And later on, we'll even talk about how to get all that money back. All you people that have paid child support into this fraudulent contract system, they are only administrative corporations, and they have induced people under mixed war. Again, maximum law, similar is with similar. You can only corporations can only contract with corporations, and then under threat of force of arms and coercion, they have caused man to pay the debt of the person when the person has already paid that debt. Those books have already been offset. So, I do not sign. Neb Hewitt, I do not sign. I autograph. Understand the language, people. Understand the language. You have a mark. You can either mark it, you can either autograph it, or sign it. A mark is like an X or like Prince used to do when he changed his calling to a symbol, not even a word, but a symbol. Understand that, a symbol, which was his mark. Okay? And then you have autograph, which is common English block lettering, separate letters. And then you have signatures, which is cursive, which is all the letters strung together. That is a foreign language. You will never see them use cursive on any court document or any instrument. Never. Never will you see them use cursive, except with their own signature. That's why it's so important to use an autograph or a mark. And understand the importance of, and I've explained this one before, understand the importance of why Prince changed to a symbol. They cannot misconstrue that by changing it into all capital letters. Or even using one single capital letter. They cannot do it. It's impossible. So, and of course, another one I mentioned is Mark Twain. You know, that was a name that he used. Samuel Clemens, the man Samuel of the family Clemens, used a fictional name of his own choosing, which was Mark Twain, under which he did all of his literature. Mark Twain itself was copyrighted, so anything under that copyright was automatically copyrighted. Okay? So when they create these titles, they have the copyright. And that's, again, in my opinion, I strongly suggest rescinding from the Social Security Administration. It's all fraud. Every last bit of it. And I will get on any stand against anybody questioning any question and say so. Verily, under my Creator, because it was not my free will. It was induced under ill-conceived gains by other people. It's fraud. Yes, Mitch. Autograph. A-U. Yes, author. Authority. Authorization. Who is the author? Look up the etymology of author, and you will find it means self. It is not you, the person, that authors anything. The person is dead entity, a civilly dead entity known as a corporate artificial person who cannot make a motion. Period. Correct. You cannot serve two masters. When we get involved in this fictional world of commerce, understand, and they're slowly changing the words as the laws get updated and repealed and reinstituted or instituted new laws and whatever, codes, rules, regulations, I'll call them. They're slowly but surely changing things up. And we see this in the UCC, where they used to use 1-207 both as your reservation of rights and clarification that the UCC was construed to be in harmony with that of the common law. That was all listed under UCC 1-207 at one time. Then they got rid of the 1-207 and changed it to 1-308 for your reservation of rights. And then under 1-103 is where they put the little thing about construed to be in harmony with that of the common law. But even there, they changed the wording to something, I'm not quite familiar with it, but it's supposed to be common fairness through all jurisdictions, which means the same thing as be construed as in harmony with that of the common law. Again, your supreme law, which is ecclesiastical in nature. It has to do with your spirit of free will, which comes from one creation. No matter who you are, and I get tired of this, people. I get tired of people that are in this movement and trying to help convince people how to get out of it, but yet at the same time, they're using words, you're a slave to society. No, you're not. That's only a belief. Get rid of that belief and understand and know that you are a private man created under your Creator in His image. And in His image, that includes all of Him, including His free will to do no harm, to go forth and prosper and be abundant. And this entire system is preventing you from doing that. Anytime you sign a contract to have somebody else take care of a responsibility for you, it is actually costing you more. You can do it cheaper yourself. And therefore, you are not being abundant. You are not prospering. You are going forth and trying to profit. And you cannot do that unless you are taking advantage of somebody else's loss. You are causing harm and detriment to somebody else. And that is the biggest part of the fraud. So understand this stuff, people. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. And here soon, I'm going to start posting some things in regards to child support recovery services and the Social Security account, so that we can hopefully help people understand how to convey words to these people that cannot be misconstrued as terms, conditions, or whatever. Use mere words. Understand the language of words. When you start dealing with contracts, you're using words, and most every contract will say so. Words, terms, conditions, concepts, implications, agreements, whatever. And all the other stuff above and beyond words are foreign languages. Foreign languages. Every last one of them. It's a change from what is the original. Okay? Even today, the language that we use today could be construed as foreign, even in common English, if it were prior to when the English came about. In fact, when the common English first came about, it wasn't common. And therefore, at that time, it was foreign, and people had to learn it. And that's what they're trying to do now, is confuse that learning with all these different languages, all construed or all combined together on these instruments and contracts and documents. Get back to the origin of common English block lettering in correct parse syntax grammar, and you can rebut every quasi-contract or singular contract out there, even if you signed it. Because every last one of them will have something that is not disclosed. Every last one. Any foreign language on there that you do not know and was not explained is undisclosed. Period. And that's why these judges and everything hate these. And granted, even though most every one of them is working so far, from what I hear, these affidavits that are going around getting people their children back, 90-page documents, they don't want to read those. They really don't. So if we get back to the very simple origins and rebut it with truth and nothing but truth, it's going to be hard for them to rebut it. Be careful using the UCC. Yes, you're falling into a trap. It's a contract. It's a verbal contract that you understand the UCC. But that's why I say the important thing about the UCC is you only really need to understand the first two that I mentioned, 1-308, which is your prior intent of reservation of rights. And that's why I say when you do your autograph on these documents, you don't do your autograph and then the UCC 1-308 or the VC via coactus or under threats, duress, and coercion or anything. You do that first. That shows your prior intent. And then you autograph or mark. And again, I do not suggest never sign, or I do not suggest signing ever. Period. So, Judge threw my 96 pages out. Leslie, is that affidavit of truth that's been going on? Because if it is, that's why I say that might cause a problem. If you what happens with 90-page documents? It's the same thing like I said with contracts. If you've got even a 15-page contract, they're using words, terms, conditions, concepts, implications, things like that. And basically what it is if they find one error, even grammatically, they can use that against you. Anything you say can and will be used against you. That's why I stress it's so important to understand just common English. Okay? Learn the common English and get away from them. I understand they're working for a lot of people, but them 90-page affidavits can still get you in trouble, can still bind you up. They're still going to use that as an excuse to stretch it out over years. So remember that. And again, yeah, Mitch, you're right. The UCC, you can, if you don't know what you're doing, using UCC, which is abbreviation. I just got done explaining this to another guy. UCC, it's an abbreviation. And if you look up in the styles manuals that they use in these courts, under law, styles manuals are per law, not legal or codes or rules. It's law. Okay, international law. And when you see UCC, it's an abbreviation, and that is construed to be a foreign language. Okay, so when you do use abbreviations, you're implying that you know that language, and that's why I use all rights retained. I've already have them. I obtained them when I was born. So I'm retaining them. I'm keeping them. Okay? All rights retained. Because when you say all rights reserved, what you're doing is you're telling them that you have the standing that you may not have rights right now, but you're going to reserve them in the future. It's just like calling up a fancy restaurant and say, yeah, I want to reserve a place for Wednesday night. I'm not there yet, but I will be. I want them to understand that I already have them. They have not been taken. Just because they are implying that I don't have them under threats of duress and coercion, of force of arms, a military act of mixed war, does not mean that I don't have them. So I specifically use all rights retained, semicolon, lowercase Keith, period. Yes, Leslie, you want to, when you do your autograph, like I said, lowercase letters only of your first calling. Mine is Keith, lowercase letters, and then I use a red ink thumbprint. And I put that on and I attach it on the autograph line to the last letter of my name. Okay? And another thing I want people to understand, when you're writing statements, you can use a red autograph. But if you're doing contracts, never use red. Use blue. Always in contracts, use blue. Contracts are your commercial laws of the sea. water, and it's blue. And then you can still attach the red ink thumbprint. And again, I never suggest signing. Always autograph. Autograph any contract with lowercase letters and attaching a red ink thumbprint to the blue autograph on contracts. Anything else that's not a contract, red ink autograph, red ink thumbprint. Lavina, yes, the main body of a contract is going to be in black because it's it's dead information. Then your autograph is going to be in blue ink, and your thumbprint should be in red ink. So hopefully I've given out some good information for people. Hopefully you're going to review this video and review it and review it and review it until you've got all the information written down so you can put this stuff together. But back to the basics. Back to the basics. The Social Security account that you either signed up for when you became age of majority, or that your parents signed you up for when you were born, is fraud. 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 For non-disclosure, that they classify everybody as a Medicare qualified government employee. That's why when you file for Social Security disability or Social Security supplemental security income, it's either done under Medicaid or Medicare, because they have you qualified as a Medicare qualified or classified as a Medicare qualified government employee. And it's all because you volunteered. So all you have to do is rescind from the Social Security account, Social Security contract, and any and all other singular or quasi-contracts in nature from county, state, and federal. Done. They can no longer prove any joinder. Your intent is not to have joinder, because when you do, that creates taxation. Correct, fraudsters. They are another term I want everybody to look up is officious intermeddlers. OFFICIOUS INTERMEDDLERS. Officious intermeddlers. So hopefully I've helped everybody out with that. And again, like I said, I'll draw up some simple things that you can send to Social Security Administration and Child Support Recovery Services, demanding that they bring forth the law showing joinder. Showing joinder under knowingly, intentionally, and willfully signing with full disclosure. So watch for that stuff, and please, please, please share this video all over. And like I said earlier, call the Social Security Administration now. Find out for sure. Ask them, do you have so-and-so classified as a Medicare qualified government employee? Okay? Now, one of the big things I want you people to remember is call them in, and those who have children, those who have sons and daughters that have still not attained the age of majority, ask them if they have them qualified as a Medicare qualified government employee. If they have them classified as a minor in a military institution as a government employee, that's proof of international fraud. And I suggest to everybody step up and just simply start asking the question that will bring it to the light. I can't do it myself. But if everybody flooded these Social Security administrations with these calls, They will know. The people are woke. And that is the biggest key in all of the fraud, is the Social Security Administration. Real quick, before I let everybody go, I want you to understand. It's a trust development between the county, state, and federal. That's a trust. That's what it takes to make a trust, okay? Now, they've created that trust. That's their trust. Under that trust, they contracted everybody else into it, okay? Now, that trust, the way it works is the birth certificate is the main account, and it has to be protected for national importance. And they use the Social Security account as a foreign situs trust between the state, the county, and the mom. Okay, that's another trust. Now they've conjoined you into that trust under fraud. And that particular trust is used to protect the national trust of the state, county, and federal. Okay? So understand this stuff, people. It's all about trust. And I don't trust none of you. Period. Even you. You tell me something, I got to think about it first. If it makes sense, I'll continue on. After a certain length of time, I'll give you more and more of my private beliefs, feelings, emotions, trust. You lie to me once, you lose it. Period. And don't worry, I know a lie from a mistake, an error. So anyway, think about this stuff, people. And again, like I said, call these people, ask them that question. You got a 12-year-old daughter, call them up and say, hey, could I ask you, do you have, my daughter's name is Candace Marie Little. Do you have Candace? She's 28 now, but if I'd have done this back then, I could have called in and said, do you have Candace Marie Little classified as a Medicare qualified government employee? And like I said, they may not want to answer that, but they have to. It's a contract. It was done with a signature. They have to give you full disclosure. And then if they refuse, then you do the Freedom of Information Act. And if they still refuse that, then you make your claim against them, the county, and the United States Department of State for the fraud being perpetrated upon you, causing a vexation of litigious legal process that's causing harm through taxation, And that's as simple as you've got to do, as simple as you make it. A lot of people hear about Carl Lentz, and he says, just make it simple, one or two sentences. And he's correct. These 96-page documents, they don't want to look at them. A lot of them, like Leslie, I guarantee you they didn't read through that 96-page. I guarantee you. It took me a full day to read through it. And though every piece of information on there is correct, as far as I know, every last bit of information on there is correct. And if that's so, then they're supposed to be reading it. They're dismissing these because they're not reading them. They don't give a fuck. And it's time for you to step up and give a fuck. But in doing so, make sure that it's very simple. KISS. And a lot of people say, keep it simple, stupid. I don't like stupid at all. I like keeping it simple and short. I was in sales for many years, and that's the concept of KISS that I learned. Keep it simple and short. So think about this stuff again, people. Call these Social Security administrators up and ask them. In the meantime, I'm going to start working on a very simple document for both the Social Security Administration and Child Support Recovery Services that you can send out to them in a letter form, affidavit letter form, demanding that they bring forth the law, saying that yourself, as man, as woman, are subject to their personal jurisdiction and subject matter jurisdiction of their administrative corporation, because they have nothing to do with executive, judicial, legislation, period. That's for me. I have executive, judicial legislation over myself. I am self-governing. I was created in the image of my Creator, and ain't nobody govern him. Think about it. In the meantime, I wouldn't be doing this if it weren't for you people. I love you. God bless. Have a great day.